I'm going to start this session by asking a few questions, and I want you to raise your hands if, depending on what the question is. So, how many here think that education should be affordable? Please raise your hands. All of you, right? Um, how many here think that at this point in time, education is being overcharged? I mean, you go to a kindergarten school. If you're teaching ABCD, they're charging lakhs and lakhs of rupees. How many of you think that that is not all right? Okay, so it's an overwhelming majority. But when students of a certain university in Delhi, they say that we want affordable education, and they go out to protest, why do you think that there is such a large section of population in this country who calls them anti-nationals? Why is that? Why is that happening? I mean, it's a simple logical question, as that education should be affordable. If you stop a man on the road and ask him if should education be affordable, he will say yes, education should be affordable. But if you ask the same person, what do you think about JNU students and their view that education should be affordable? Because that is the protest that is going on right now, right? Well, the protest is essentially around hike in fees, hike in mess fees, hike in hostel fees, and they are saying that, please don't hike the fees because there are so many people who come from different margins of the society to this university, and not all of them can afford that. And we want people from every section of the society to have equal opportunity to quality education. So, this is a question that I've been pondering for a while now. We've been, started Alt News in February 2017, and it's been 3 years. But my background is that of a software engineer. Like many other software engineers who work in cubicles in Bangalore, Hyderabad, etc. When you're taught engineering, you're just taught engineering. You're not taught social sciences. You're not taught different things. So very often, you'll see that people who are working in these cubicles, they have very myopic views. But over the past 3 years, just because of working on Alt News, there's so many things that I've realized that education did not teach me, So that is the question we'll start with. And basically, let me ask you, how many people got a forward which showed the JNUSU president, Aishi Ghosh, and it said that she is faking her injuries? You got that forward? That, she's showing one hand, and then there's another hand, basically claiming that she had the plaster on one hand and another plaster on another hand. Yeah, regarding the head injury too. So, this plaster thing, when you stand in front of a mirror, you see yourself opposite, right? So that is what it was. Somebody took a picture of her, mirrored it, put it together, and said that, look, she has different plasters on different hands. And believe me not, this was one of the highest read stories on Alt News in the last 1 month, that is Aishi Ghosh's injuries fake? So that is the power of propaganda, that when there are students who are coming out and saying that we want affordable education, you can create a narrative against them and delegitimize their demands purely through propaganda, purely through misinformation. I mean, the whole world, or if not the whole world, but this phrase "tukre tukre gang," that has been, you hear that all the time from news channels, news anchors, to social media, etc. When you hear the word "tukre tukre gang," it was based on a slogan which was shouted in JNU campus by certain masked men, where they said, "Bharat te tukre honge," and so on and so forth. But they were masked men, okay? But when you hear of Tukre Tukre gang, even irrespective of which side of the political line you're on, whose faces do you think of? You think of Kanhaiya Kumar, you think of Umar Khalid, you think of Shaila Rashid. And that is despite you have seen that video. So many of you must have seen that video of those people shouting slogans, right? They were masked men. They have not been caught till today. And yet, despite you knowing that they were this masked men, why is that faces of Kanhaiya Kumar, Umar Khalid, and Shala Rashid flash before your eyes when that reference is made of Tukre Tukre Gang? So that is the power of propaganda. When anchors day in and day out, they keep repeating that these people are Tukre Tukre Gang, these people are Tukre Tukre Gang. That is what sets in your mind. The reality escapes your mind. And that is where sort of Alt News and many other organizations, Alt News is not the only organization, there are other fact-checking bodies as well, who are trying to sort of sift fact from fiction and trying to do something. Let me ask you some more questions. So, how many of you received a forward? So what happened was this, the JNU protest happened, the students were beaten up, and then Deepika Padukone went and sort of, whatever her intentions were, let's not go into that. I don't know whether it was for the promotion of the film, not that is a debatable issue. But she went there and she stood with the students. And what is the next thing that you receive on WhatsApp? The next thing you receive on WhatsApp is that a character in a film who threw acid on, Deepika represents Lakshmi Agarwal in the film. So the character in the film who threw acid on her, his name has been changed from a Muslim name to a Hindu name. Now he's called Rajesh. Okay, how many of you got that forward? All of us, right? And that was the second most read story on Alt News in this month. And all one had to do was go watch the film to see whether this is true or not, and it was false. The name was not changed from a Muslim name to a Hindu name. The name was Babbu Bashir or something like that. And that is where, anytime you raise a voice against the establishment, what is this? This is defamation of an individual or an organization or a film, right? Anytime you raise the voice against an establishment or a cause, what you'll see that tiny things in your personal lives will be picked up. You're on Facebook profile, they'll find something that you posted as a kid. Something that may have been appropriate in your head when you're 17, but they'll pick that up from social media and they'll flash it in your face and look, these are the views of these people. And that happened with two students. This video became very popular where these three girls are saving this boy who's down on the floor. And they're challenging the policeman that you can't beat him up. And then Barkha Dutt goes and interviews these girls. And immediately people start trawling their Facebook profiles. And one of them was married, so the husband's Facebook profile was also trawled. And they got out these posts that they must have written a few years ago when they were younger and had more radical views that, look, these are the people who are supporting you. So propaganda also does not give you a chance to make a mistake. All of us make certain mistakes in terms of, all of us evolve. I know I have evolved, I have evolved over the past 3 years since working in Alt News, and all of us evolve with different experiences, life, and different education. But once you set something on social media, that becomes the absolute truth for all your life. So, even now, before coming here, when I was thinking that, should I use the phrase, Bharate Tukde Honge, in my head I was thinking somebody's going to clip my speech and say that, look, this is what Pratik has said. Because that is what you see, that is what you see all the time, right? You see a small portion of a speech and you say that, look, these are the views. So, this whole thing, in my head, the concept has been evolving, and now I call this issue information pollution. We hear about air pollution all the time, right? We are breathing poisonous air, especially folks in Delhi, UP, etc. They are breathing poisonous air, and it's doing damage to our lungs. There are multiple reports which are coming in, how damaging air pollution is. But if you look at this issue, the information that you're consuming is also polluted. You know, every single day, your WhatsApp inboxes are filled with forwards, and a lot of that is inauthentic. So, and this is not coincidental. This is by design. When I say it is by design, so for example, when the Balakot strikes happen, every newspaper flashes that 300 people have been killed or 350 people have been killed. I'm from Ahmedabad, and so the Gujarati newspaper there, the leading Gujarati newspaper there is called Gujarat Samachar. That had a headline, Modiye 350 Pakistani jihadiyon ne fuki marya. That translates into Modi has blown away 315 Pakistani jihadis. Now, but when 350 people die, anytime 350, imagine an earthquake, imagine a plane crash where, there's large-scale casualties. What you will see is dead bodies, right? Did you see any dead bodies? On WhatsApp, you must have. You must have seen this bunch of people, these 7, 8 images covered with a white sheet and claiming that this is the amount of devastation that happened. So what actually happened was that right after this number was fed to media organizations that 300, 350 people have been killed, I think from ANI and CNI, I forget which news channels, they went to the mother of a martyred soldier, one of the CRPF Jawans who had died in Pulwama. And they asked her, are you happy with this action? And they said that, when my son died, you paraded his body all over the country. Where is a single body when 350 people have died? That is the question she posed. And soon after, there are these bunch of 10 images that were shared widely, saying that these were 10 dead bodies, people covered in white bed sheets, that these are the people who were killed in Balakot, and this is the amount of devastation that the strikes have done. The strikes, we know has happened. We've been shown a crater in a forest, but whether 350 people died or not, that impression, first you put it out on media. The media obviously can't put out pictures because they have still this modicum of credibility, this tiny bit of credibility. So they know that, there are these other websites watching that if they put some random picture, then we are going to catch them. So they are not going to put the pictures. They're going to say that 350 people have died, and then WhatsApp is going to tell you that these are the dead bodies. So that is how propaganda is made in combination. There is a role that mainstream media is playing, and then there is a role that social media is playing, and they are working in coalition. And it is not, these images were about 4 or 5 years old. When I say that this is not accidental, these images were from a heat wave, people killed in a heat wave 4 or 5 years old, people killed in an earthquake 4 or 5 years old. How do you suddenly think that these are the people who are killed in Balakot? The only way that happens is when you go to images.google.com, you go to Google Images and look for dead bodies, you download about 10 pictures, you put it on WhatsApp, and you know exactly what impact that is going to happen. So what we have seen is that there is a design. There is a design to create a false narrative in this country using misinformation, knowing fully well that there is a section of population in our country which, just because of a WhatsApp forward, they're going to, if you tell them that there are child kidnapping rumors, they're going to go out and they're going to form a mob and they're going to kill people. These people are not criminals. All these child kidnapping rumors that you hear about, people, somebody has been killed in Hyderabad too also last year. Somebody who was, I believe, from the transgender community was killed in Hyderabad. And that is all it requires, is that you put a WhatsApp message saying that, these people are child kidnappers, and last year 30 people were killed, this year 15 people have been killed. Just last Saturday, there was this BJP MLA who put out a video that there's this particular colony in Bangalore, they are full of Bangladeshis. This was an area called Belandur in Bangalore. And the BBMP, the municipal corporation, came and razed down 100 houses. Uh, they kept showing their ID cards. This is my Aadhaar card, this is my PAN card. But 100 houses were razed. And again, that is just because of a video that the entire life's belongings of 100 poor families have just vanished just because of one video. So that is the impact of misinformation. But again, I don't know how many of you heard of that, but you probably would have heard of something which is closer to here, when Karachi Bakery here in Hyderabad was attacked, claiming that the questions were asked as to why is it called Karachi? Is the owner a Muslim? And then they had to put up a billboard saying, "No, no, we are Hindus." So how do we deal with this issue? That is the question. I just wanted to sort of show what is the extent of propaganda, how it is designed. All of us here at this point of time know what is fake news, what is misinformation, what is propaganda. But I just wanted to sort of say what is the extent and how it is designed. But so how do we deal with this issue? That is the next question. Typically in different forums, the first thing that I am asked is, why can't we create a law against it? And I am always against one such law, because, and my rationalization is that anytime misinformation is a subset of information. Misinformation is a kind of information, right? And anytime you criminalize information, you're down a slippery slope. And I'll give you a quick example. This Kashmir, the 370 thing happened, and Kashmir doesn't have internet for almost close to 6 months now, or what, 4 or 5 months. And there was a, BBC and Al Jazeera did a report from there, from a town called Sora, and claimed that these were the protests that happened in Sora. And immediately, and there was a video which came out, and there was sound of shooting. We were not sure what was the shooting, but immediately the Home Minister put out a tweet saying that this is a fabricated video, nothing like that happened. We fact-checked it, we found that the video was not fabricated, it was a genuine video. But once you create a law which criminalizes information, then you give a handle in the hands of the government to go after anybody who questions. All they have, because it is the government who decides what is criminal and what is not criminal. So you give a handle in the hands of the government, and they will go after journalists, activists. For example, something happens, internet is cut off in AMU, and police goes and does atrocities. There is a team of activists which go there and do a fact-finding report. Now, nobody knows what happened in AMU. They come back with a fact-finding report. If you have one such law, all the government will say is this is fake, put them in jail. So it is a very simple thing to say, let's create another law, but criminalizing misinformation is, will be going down a slippery slope. Next thing is, you control the source, who's putting out misinformation. But when the Prime Minister of the country goes on a stage and says that detention center in this country is fake news, then what do? There is an entire army of people. And again, this is not limited to just one side of the ideological spectrum. I have to say that 80% or at least 70% of the misinformation is coming from one side of the ideological spectrum, but there's other side also. There's this, we did this story about this guy called Abhishek Mishra. He stays in some town in Madhya Pradesh, I think Gwalior, I think it's Gwalior. And so we did a story. He put out a poster saying that Manmohan Singh has been declared as the one of the 10 most strong prime ministers or presidents in this world. There's this WhatsApp forward that went around, and we checked who put out that WhatsApp forward, and we found that there's this guy who used to run a website called Viral in India, and he had put out this WhatsApp forward, Abhishek Mishra. We wrote the story. Then BBC did a story. They went to Abhishek Mishra, and they found out that he has an office. He does just this. He just puts out rumors which are against the BJP. Just like there's an entire troll factory or IT cell factory which is putting rumors against others, there's a similar thing which is there for pretty much every party at different levels. So this guy had a 5-storied office. He has pictures with everybody you can think of, and it is, enclosed chambers, whether it is Kamal Nath, whether it is Rahul Gandhi, everybody. So it is not that misinformation is only in one ideological spectrum. And why I'm also giving this example is because the people who are producing misinformation, uh, they they have figured it out. So what involves producing misinformation? One is creating the content, and the second thing is distribution of content. There are two processes in producing misinformation. They have figured out the entire game. And when I say distributing the content, unfortunately, I don't have slides here. Otherwise, I would have shown the way it is distributed. But if you get a chance, Google the story, business of Facebook pages on alt news. Just say business of Facebook pages, alt news. There is an entire army of people who are creating this distribution network. There's tens and thousands of Facebook pages to push out this content to the largest largest section of population possible. So we had investigated this another story where there was this Twitter trend happening which said, "I support Rohit Sardana." This was about 2 years ago. This Twitter trend which said, "I support Rohit Sardana," and it was claimed that there are some 100 fatwas which have been issued against Rohit Sardana. He's an anchor with Aaj Tak at this point in time. And in the evening, Rohit Sardana comes and says that, "Look, this is misinformation. Nothing like this has happened." So we went about looking for who put out this information. And my background being a software engineer, I have the ability to, I'm able to figure out, who runs a particular website, a few of those things that you learn as a software engineer. So I found the Facebook profile of this young boy who runs this website, which put out this information that there's so many fatwas against Rohit Sardana. And on his Facebook profile, the first post was an image of an SMS, which showed that he has received 18,000 rupees in his bank account. Okay, and it was, so this 18,000 rupees was basically from an advertising company. You put these advertisements under in middle of the article, at the bottom of the article. So every time you go and click one of those advertisements, these people earn money. And so he had received 18,000 rupees. And so we wrote the story, and we, next day I get an anonymous message on WhatsApp. It was from a US number. And this person says that, "भैया आपने जो स्टोरी लिखी थी वो मैं ही हूँ, आपने मुझे कैसे ढूंढ निकाला?" And then I convince him to give his Indian number. I speak to him. You know how old he was? He was studying in 12th standard. He was studying in 12th standard, and he said that, "You gotten one information wrong. I don't make 20,000 a month. I make 40,000 a month." So so there is one element which is political, that is to create a political narrative. But because various platforms have made it easy to make money of these platforms, they have incentivized information creation, people also making money out of it. So, you see all these YouTube videos. So whenever you see a YouTube video, you'll see an ad before the YouTube video. Go ahead. Okay.
We'll come to questions.
Right. So, whenever you see a YouTube video, you see this one ad before a YouTube video, right? So, basically, let's say I know about something, or even I may not know about something. What I can do is I can start my phone camera. I can talk for 10 minutes. I can say the most ridiculous things possible, and I can put it on YouTube. Now, because YouTube is such a huge platform, let's say you own Bajaj scooters and you have a new line of scooters, you will go and tell YouTube that, "Look, I want to advertise my scooter." So YouTube will say, "Okay, this is the format of our ads. You give us an ad, and when this 10-minute video is played, we will play this video either at the start of the video or the middle of the video." Now, in this process, let's say if Bajaj gives YouTube 100 rupees, YouTube will keep about 75 rupees, and 25 rupees will be given to this person who has created this video. So now all you have to do to make money as a young person who has figured out this whole social media game is to start a video and say anything ridiculous, say anything that is clickbaitery, and you will get millions and millions of views. So, and this is happening at a large scale. So there's a political component and there's a financial component. So the question is, so we can't use law because law is dangerous. Can social media companies do anything about it? Are they doing anything about it? Unfortunately not. They are not doing nearly enough. Facebook has partnered with certain fact checkers, but the amount of misinformation that there is still the same. I won't go into details as to how they're going wrong, but essentially they can do a lot more. I'll just briefly sort of talk about what is the nature of misinformation in India. It is very rudimentary. You know, you keep listening to this term called deep fakes. How many of you have heard the term deep fake? Right? But how many of you seen a deep fake video? But it's the Obama video, right? A lot of you must have seen it. So a deep fake video is essentially, let's say Mr. Modi ji does a Mann Ki Baat every month. I take all the videos of Mr. Modi ji doing Mann Ki Baat and run it through a certain set of machine learning algorithms and create a video where he's saying something which he has never said. And it will look absolutely authentic. Just Google Obama deepfake video, you'll find a video of Obama saying something which he never said. So the technology has gone to the point that you can create these videos which are completely inauthentic but look absolutely authentic. So, but in India we have not reached that level. Yeah. Yes, absolutely, yeah. So, but we've not reached that level. The three main kind of misinformation. Look back onto your WhatsApp inbox. What does it look like? You'll get an image with 2 lines of text. You'll get a video with 2 lines of text. Yeah? So the main forms of misinformation in India today are you take an old image or an old video and pass it off, claiming that it represents a present event. Number 2, you take a present video and present image and you change the narrative and say that, so for example, just 3 days ago, we debunked a story where it was being claimed that a Muslim man raped a 5-year-old girl and the man was paraded naked. When we called the police station, the story actually was there's this person called Pawan who used to expose himself to 3 school-going girls, and the girls complained to their family. The family caught this guy in the act, beat him up, paraded him naked. But that video was passed around claiming that a Muslim man is raping 5-year-old girl. And there's this whole process of demonization of Muslims. I think at least 60% of the stories on alt news, or at least 50% of the stories on alt news would be of the kind, no, this crime was not committed by somebody from the Muslim community. Every day you'll see videos that, this is what the Muslims of this country are doing. And at least 50% of the stories on alt news websites, no, this was not done by a member of the Muslim community. So that is the second thing. That is, you take a present image or video and you pass it off with a false narrative. And third is morphed images and morphed videos. These are primarily the 3 main kinds of misinformation. You also get these long-ass WhatsApp forwards, a kilometer-long WhatsApp forwards. So that is the other thing. Now, it is, as far as Facebook, YouTube, etc. is concerned, and me being a software engineer, I can say that it is very easy to identify when an image is old. We do that every single day. All it has to be done is automated. That is, when you look at a video or image on your WhatsApp, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, the platform should tell you that, look, this image was taken, is at least 8 months old. This image is at least 10 months old. And even doing that will reduce the amount of misinformation that we see by a good 50%. But they are not doing that. They are not doing that because, as I said, YouTube makes 75 rupees and this person makes 25 rupees. So both parties are to gain by creating this clickbait content. And the whole business model of social media is based on selling, people creating content and then it being incentivized by advertising money. So we are not able to control the social media who are putting out misinformation. So what remains? The only thing in my, and this is after 3 years that I realized, the only thing that remains is, when you have air pollution, you can have a mask. you can't have a physical mask for information pollution, but there's a filter inside your brain which makes you ask questions. Is this true? And very few people in this country are asking this question, is this true? And that is what we need. That is, as concerned citizens, as people, all of us sitting here have a certain amount of privilege. The person who's in a village who's going and killing because of a WhatsApp forward, that person doesn't even know that there's a software called Photoshop which can morph pictures. So all of us sitting here who have a certain kind of privilege, I think it is our duty to go back and raise this awareness in the society that, why are schools not teaching this issue? Why are schools not teaching our kids as to how to process information? That is the first thing. Kids who are 14, 15 today will be 18 in 2024 when they cast their votes. And they have a right to cast a vote based on authentic information, not WhatsApp forwards. So that is the first thing I believe it is our duty as citizens to go back and raise this voice as to why do curriculums not teach how to identify information. I mean, let me ask you a simple question. You have so many apps on your phones to consume information, right? You have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have 10,000 apps. Is there one app? There are these multi-billion companies, Facebook, etc. Have they given you one app to figure out whether information is authentic or not? A single app over these years. Why have they not? I mean, Alt News does this all day, and we get piddly amounts of donation, and we're able to do it. Their one annual party budget probably exceeds our entire annual budget, of salaries, everything included. But why have they failed to do that? So when these people are not doing it, we have to raise our voices and demand this as a right, just the way you demand the right to have good air. You want to breathe good air. The same way, you have to start demanding that the information that we receive has to be authentic, that teach us ways in which we can recognize information. People keep telling us that there have to be many more fact checkers like Alt News, and that is true. Each one of us should have the basic ability to figure out what is true and what is not. That's all. Thank you.
We have a very interesting initiative that is called Meet the Author. And most of the speakers you will see here would happily come and spend some time in an intimate, informal surrounding where they can engage with you. So while I did not want to stop Pratik from making his talk because it was so informative and important, we are left with a very short amount of time at this point. I would request him to spend some time with the audience after this. So this is just behind these rocks. It's called Manthan, Meet the Author. After these 2 or 3 questions, I would urge Pratik to go there. Sanjay Jasarani, who is in charge of Meet the Author, will take him along, and then you could engage with them there. We have a session that happens here immediately after this. We don't want to derail the schedule, so please help us and cooperate with us. 2 questions. This lady here.
So I'm just picking up from something you mentioned. Why do schools not teach children how to debunk news? Because it is really today's school kids who are going to be the voters in 2024. We really can't expect the schools to do it. It's wishful thinking. But is there some kind of a module or something which at least can be done as a workshop for young children, so at least some of them learn how to counter it and hopefully teach others?
So we have been teaching, okay, so the first thing, whether schools do it or not, so I was speaking to certain people, and what they have told me is that only when there is a large-scale demand, you go to your next parent-teacher meeting and you say that, look, we want such a course for children or something like that. But only when there is the demand also has to come from within the society. The schools, if there is a genuine loud demand again and again, then if not this year, then maybe next year, but maybe next year. But that demand has to come from the society that, such a course has to be there. But to your question whether, so we have developed a module where we teach, but the module that we have developed at this point of time is for young adults and adults, so we have taught multiple journalists, we have gone to universities and taught this course at the start of next month, a colleague of mine is going to actually Kathmandu to teach fact checkers there in Nepal. They want to start a fact checking unit, and we are teaching them how to do that. So yes, we have a module, a short module, a long module, which can teach people how to look at information, how to fact check, how to ask the right questions. The main question that you want to ask, even without any training, if somebody claims something, give me the source of information. That is the first question that you have to ask in a very non-hostile manner. Okay, you're claiming this, but what is the source of information? That's all.
Another way to do it was, a starting point would be to pick up his book that is being put up there and read that book. And the other thing is, every time, make it into a habit. When you see something which looks ridiculous, go and first check alt news.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you something. You know, you did talk about the political misinformation, etc., etc. But there is also a lot of commercial misinformation, especially in the health region. Lots
Very
of
much.
medicinal sales are changing because of some stupid ads and all that. So, is there any mechanism of catching that?
So
That's
we-
one. Just a small sub question. Why don't you guys develop an app which we can all use?
We already have. So you can look up, the iPhone version is not out yet. So what we have developed is with whatever limited resources we have. So we have developed an app which is available for Android. The iPhone version is going to be out soon. But let's say if you have already fact-checked something, and if you upload an image, you'll get an automatic response saying that, look, this is the misinformation. Or else you can submit it. We are not able to respond to many of the queries because we are a very, very small team. But at least this way, we find out what is being circulated on WhatsApp. And if we fact check it, then you'll definitely get back a response saying that, look, this is the fact check corresponding to this piece of information. The app works for images and videos right now. We don't support text and links, but there is an app, and it is a work in progress. Hopefully, over the next 1 year, we'll try to make it much, much better. The second question about health or medical misinformation. So that is another, so we have a dedicated section on Alt News Science where we talk about medical information. Unfortunately, the medical information starts right from the top, from the Ayush department, where multiple quackeries are claimed to be genuine, genuine solutions for different issues. Unfortunately, so we have a science editor. Her name is Dr. Sumaya Sheikh, and she's a neuroscientist. She's originally from Gujarat, but based in Sweden at this point in time. So she does this. So medical misinformation is much more tricky because it needs certain kind of subject matter expertise. If I come and tell you this medicine doesn't work, why should you believe me? I don't have a degree in medicine. There you need actually subject matter experts to talk about this issue, give evidence as to why this doesn't work. And it is also, for example, every time there's dengue and you get this forward that have papaya extract and it's gonna cure dengue and it's gonna increase your blood platelet, and no genuine research supports that finding at this point in time. But the problem is also to reach this section of population and tell them that, look, this is false. That is something like, theek hai, papaya kha lete, kya jata? That kind of attitude. But so medical misinformation, unfortunately, is much more tricky to handle. And seriously, we haven't wrapped our heads around this to how to handle this in a more effective manner.
Thank you very much, Pratik.